we have to spend some time talking about the development that came out of the clear blue sky late yesterday afternoon at a time, Peter, when I was standing alone in the wilderness banging on the drum of they're hiding something. There's more out there. Somebody, please, who has the actual authority to compel, or at least try to compel, the National Football League to cooperate, to be transparent, to produce information, to surrender these 650,000 emails, all of which supposedly came only from Bruce Allen's account over a 10-year period. That works out to one every 8 minutes of every day of every week of every month of every year for a decade. The folks in Congress have caught the whiff of something's fishy with all of this with the NFL, and they are now on it. A letter was sent yesterday to Commissioner Roger Goodell requesting a long list of information and documents and everything. And by my reading of the 4-page letter that was sent, these folks understand all the issues at play here, and they want to get to the bottom of two things, because they always say the cover-up's worse than the crime. They're going to explore the crime and the cover-up. They're going to explore everything that happened at the Washington football team, all that information that was hidden from us, even though the NFL has a history of disclosing everything with one of these major scandals, and they want to find out why the NFL tried to hide all of it. So it's a two-pronged approach to get to the bottom of what happened at Dan Snyder's football team and what happened at Roger Goodell's Park Avenue League office to try to cover it all up. And NFL's got a problem on its hand. And it's good. Look, this isn't an anti-NFL thing. This is a pro-truth thing. There's something out there they don't want us to know about, and Congress is going to make every effort to try to get to the bottom of it, which is good.
I got a great letter this week from an attorney after I suggested in my column on Monday, hey, look, you know, what the NFL should do is all the emails that, let's say, involved either an employee of the Washington football team or someone aggrieved by the Washington football team, a cheerleader, an employee, whatever it would be. Cheerleaders are employees, just in a different way. But, you know, if one of those people involved in the investigation was adamant, I don't want anything that came out and you promised me anonymity and all that, okay, then don't use any emails involving that person. So let's say there's 5 or 10 of them. You know, eliminate any email with those in it, okay? And then show every other email, okay? Because we're not going to believe that there's nothing else in this. I certainly don't, that there's nothing else in this. In any way, shape, or form do I believe that. So if we're not going to be able to see, let's say, every email, you know, this attorney who's involved in these things said to me, just redact the names in all the emails.
Exactly. I've been saying that for 5 months. Redaction. Yeah. And they did that with the Cuomo investigation. Redact the names.
So, but the problem is, Mike, as you said in your open to this segment, basically, I think with tongue in cheek, that, you know, we're used to seeing all this information come out in every investigation. You know, it's funny, isn't it? We found out an awful lot about Ray Rice. We found out an awful lot about Tom Brady. We find out an awful lot about investigations written down on paper when they're with players. And yes, isn't it interesting that the investigation with an owner is never written down? There is a verbal report. There is nothing hard and fast about this investigation other than the NFL says, nothing to see here. Trust us. We know what is right in this case. NFL, we don't trust you. And we think there is more in this. Prove to us there isn't by showing the redacted emails. And I hope, I really hope that this investigation by these 2 Democratic members of Congress gains traction, gains legs. And you know what was really funny, Mike? When the NFL said yesterday, I guess I read it, I'm sorry, I just read the headline this morning on PFT, which said the NFL, quote, welcomes the opportunity to
look forward. We look forward.
With, Congress. Yeah, we look forward. Yeah. We look forward to it. Okay. That's like, Mike, you know what? That's like when an incumbent quarterback sees a team, his own team, pick a quarterback early in the first round of the draft, and he says, I look forward to competing with John Doe for the quarterback job here. The hell he looks forward. He is ticked off, and he's throwing crap at the wall. And so to me, I hope that this investigation has teeth, and it shines real light on what to me has been an incredibly ugly situation. And as one good source of mine in the NFL said, could you please explain one thing to me? Why in the world would the NFL go soft on Dan Snyder? Explain that, please.
That one's
nobody
easy.
in this league likes Daniel Snyder. It's ridiculous.
Right.
Why are we protecting this guy that nobody in this league likes?
Because we're next. One of us. We don't know who, but we're setting a precedent here where somebody starts making allegations that we don't believe. But if there's enough of them that we don't believe, then we have to investigate ourselves. And who knows what they're going to find when they investigate ourselves. And Peter, going back to the original report, non-report, nothing. The punishments announced on July 1. When they didn't provide any facts whatsoever, when it became clear there was no written report from the lawyer who spent 10 months investigating, it became clear to me that if we knew what would be in the report that she was told not to prepare, it would be untenable for Daniel Snyder to continue as owner of the team, just as it was untenable for Jon Gruden to continue as the coach of the Raiders. Once the public sees this stuff, the guy can't stay in that position. By helping him, they help themselves. That's why they did it. And to your other point, because people are looking for overlap between the Washington football team situation and the Rams relocation litigation that has been largely ignored by the national media but is gaining some traction slowly but surely. A judge there recently accused multiple owners who have been resisting complying with a court order to surrender personal information because they may be on the hook for punitive damages. He accused them of playing a game of three-card Monte. That's exactly what the NFL is doing to all of us in this. It is a shell game. And Peter, you mentioned the issue of redacting emails. Here's the best evidence that it's a shell game. They say on one hand, we can release none of the information whatsoever about the workplace culture investigation in Washington because some of the individuals who came forward requested anonymity. Well, there are flaws in that reasoning from top to bottom. However, the 650,000 emails, as the league admitted to me this week, the 650,000 emails from the account of former Washington executive Bruce Allen are unrelated to the workplace misconduct investigation. Hoist on your own petard. I don't know what it means. I like how it sounds. It basically means you paint yourself into a corner. They paint and that's gone unnoticed, ignored by everyone. Their main reason for secrecy, they admit, doesn't apply because these 650,000 emails are unrelated to the investigation. So my point all week long, the first thing we do, let's see the emails. We may want more, but let's see those emails.
And, Mike, the reason why they're not going to do that is there's something in there. I don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in there. There's something in there.
We know some of it. We know some of it. Yeah. We know just enough. Yeah. We know just enough to know why they don't want us to see all of them.
Yeah. And I think the one other factor in this is, look, there's a lot to, I wrote this on Monday. One of the things that to me is so disheartening about this whole story is that the NFL is counting, as it always does. The NFL is counting on the white noise of great football games to make everybody forget this. That's what they're doing. Roger Goodell, go into hiding. Just everybody just don't even pay any attention to Roger Goodell. He's nowhere to be found. And everybody just ignore this. And then, a month from now, whatever, the NFL will continue business as usual, and there will be Roger at a game somewhere glad-handing people and saying hello to people. But for now, when everybody wonders about the credibility of the National Football League, where is the National Football League? In hiding. That's where it is. And they just want a bunch of great games on Sunday so that next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of a sudden everybody will say, oh yeah, that Dan Snyder story, they're not doing anything about that. Forget it. Hey, what's the playoff race look like? That's exactly what the NFL wants.
They've perfected the art of keeping your head low and your mouth shut. We've talked several times already this season how there's no transparency when it comes to the various blunders and incompetence of officiating. There's no one who appears on NFL Network or anywhere else like they used to do with Dean Blandino and before that Mike Pereira to explain these things so people can understand it. Just keep your mouth shut. The more you talk, the more oxygen you give to the controversy, and we have a whole slate of bright, shiny objects to distract you from what's going on. And after that, we got another slate of bright, shiny objects. The only days they have to get through, Peter, are Tuesday and Wednesday. And really not even Tuesday, because Tuesday we're reacting to Monday night. Wednesday's the only day of the week where football fans are like, gee, what are we going to do now? And then by Thursday, it's time to get ready for another game. So you're absolutely right. And they're not going to say anything. And they thought they were going to run out the clock on this. And I thought they were going to run out the clock on it. Look, I was reporting on stuff that I could find, and I was looking for new angles to push forward. I'm not just going to go back and revisit something I wrote 2 weeks ago just to dust it off. There has to be something new or the story dies. Yesterday, right before we found out about the congressional investigation, the Real Sports podcast, I got the quotes from HBO. Andrea Kramer, appearing on that podcast, said the person who produced her item on Mark Davis from last month cold called Jon Gruden. He picked up the phone and he said, people who know me know what I stand for 58 years. I have a resume of 58 years. The truth will come out. Now, many would say the truth as to him already has come out, but it reminds us there's a lot more to this story. And even though what Gruden did was wrong and he got what he deserved, the way that it happened should be investigated. The fact that someone had the power to take just a few of those secret emails and bring down an NFL head coach during a season, derailing a team during a season. We hear about competitive integrity all the time, the integrity of the game, the integrity of the season. Somebody had their finger on a button that could take out a coach of an NFL team 5 weeks into a season, and they pressed it, Peter.
Yeah, and Mike, to me, I wrote this on Monday. If I told you who this was, you would say, oh, my God, he said that. An incredibly credible source said to me, this is a mafia hit on Gruden. That's what it is. And you know why it is? Because he never saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming. It happened without warning. And here it was. And Jon Gruden now is most likely ruined for life in the NFL. Who knows? People sometimes have short memories regarding this thing. But I would argue that Jon Gruden is not going to be a head coach in the NFL again. And it happened because somebody, and we don't know who it is, somebody said, why are we going to do this? Because we can. And they did it. And that, to me, it's all, this whole thing is disgusting. The entire thing is disgusting. But the fact that, as Jon Gruden, who had nothing to do with this investigation, had his career ruined because of it, that is cause enough for me, for not just 2 members of Congress, but I wish it was 200 who would go after this and seek to shine light on this sordid investigation.
And he's not a sympathetic victim because, again, he got what he deserved, but he's still a victim of this broader machine that just can pick and choose who it's going to bring down. Look at this. Look at this stuff that we found here. At the right time, we can wipe out the Raiders' season. We can wipe out their head coach for good. And when he says the truth will come out, there is irony in that because we've seen the truth in the emails. But he may be talking about the truths that you and I are hoping will come out, how this came to be, why they targeted him, who ordered the code red. And I suggested earlier in the week, Peter, if he really wants to go old school Al Davis on this and really do justice to the legacy of the man who hired him years ago to be the Raiders head coach the first time around, tortious interference with contractual expectations and business prospects. File the lawsuit against the NFL. That's not going to arbitration. That's not going to a grievance. And maybe Mark Davis and the Raiders join you as a plaintiff, because Davis got as wounded by this as Gruden did, by the timing of it. This could have been handled the moment they found those emails. This could have been handled maybe in January, and Mark Davis could have hired a new head coach who would have been ready to go. You wouldn't have to do this thing in midstream where you're desperate. You have a winning team. Usually the teams with interim coaches during a season have an interim coach because the team sucks. This is a good team, and they wanted to keep playing well, and maybe they still will, but this stinks to high heaven. And one way for Gruden, if he wants the truth to come out about what happened, he's got tools available to him through the legal system, and it'll be fascinating to see if he uses them, Peter.
I hope he does. I hope he retains Mike Florio Esquire to get involved in this. I know how close you are with Jon Gruden and the relationship, the kind and gentle and familial relationship that you have with Jon Gruden. Please make this happen, Mike Florio.
Yes. I don't expect anything from Jon Gruden, no matter how hard I try to vindicate what happened to him. I'm not going to try to vindicate what he did, but what happened to him was wrong. And I think we all have an obligation to recognize it and push for the truth. Kudos to Congress for getting the process started. But still, and Peter, I don't know who's out there doing a deep dive and is going to emerge with a 10,000-word story that really tears this all apart. All I know is this: in the limited time I've had this week, I've made enough phone calls to spin the thing forward a little bit. The notion that the 650,000 emails were all from Bruce Allen's account. More than 1,000 emails to and from Jeff Pash. We reported that this week. Bruce Allen sending an inappropriate photo to a couple members of the league office in 2011. We reported that. There's plenty of meat out there, folks, and I don't have time to go chewing on all of it. So let's hope that people get to the bottom of this. Because I also think, Peter, and then we got to take a break, I think there's people on the inside who don't like what's going on, and they are of goodwill, and they are of fair mind, and they are looking for ways to help. And that ultimately is the thing that could cause the house of cards to collapse.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.